pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, Jeff, I'm stuck with this thing here, sorry. Hi, everyone. Tonight we have Selectman Michael Doyle is going to be participating remotely. He has medical issues at his home that he needs to have remote participation tonight. So any and all votes taken during the meeting tonight is going to be roll call votes. So we're going to do a roll call vote tonight. The first item on the agenda is to receive public comment. We have a public hearing at 7:15 tonight, so we have a hard stop. So I'm going to receive oral communications from members of the public. Members of the public may address the select board for up to 3 minutes, longer with the permission of the chairperson. The select board will not engage in discussion on topics raised during public comment, but may choose to add the topic to a future agenda. This agenda segment will be limited to 15 minutes unless extended at the discretion of the chair. Do we have any public comment tonight? Come on up. Yep. You have to state your name and your address.
Okay, my name's Bob Ross, and I'm at 48 Central Street. It's the corner of Central and Larkin.
Thank you.
And Felicia and I had a long conversation already. So I just wanted to, I haven't been here before, so I thought I'd just come down and share my 2 cents. So I wasn't really following this at all, and then one morning I got up and saw town workers in my front yard, and I went out there and I said, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "We gotta get better drainage here because water builds up here at the stop sign and it causes hazard in the winter with the ice. And when this road was open, people would come up here too fast and go right into Central Street." That was the first I even knew that the road was ever open. And I said, "What are you talking about, the road open?" And they said, "This road used to be open." And I said, "Oh, when did it close?" And they weren't sure. They were sort of guessing. And then I said, "So that's the concern?" And he said, "Well, that and the fact there's going to be 15, 20 cars piled up here every morning." And I said, "Why would that happen?" And he said, "Because this is a cut through to 95. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." So that's when I first heard about this. And I was a little bit surprised because I didn't know. I mean, that bridge, the area looks like hell. We know that. We've been down there. But we didn't know there was plans to actually do something with it. So I just have been kind of thinking about it lately. And my wife and I walk down there and we walk around to Central. And it's not an official measurement at all. But measuring our walk on our Apple Watch, it's the same distance from, it doesn't seem like it would be, but it is, from the corner of Larkin and Central down to the corner of Parrish and Jackman as it is if you go down Central, follow it down to Elm, down to Jackman to Parrish. It's a 1.5 mile route either way. So in terms of emergency vehicles getting down there, it seems like it's kind of a wash if they're coming from Newberry. I don't know about Georgetown because I don't know where the Georgetown Fire Department is. But the other thing I wanted to say is that I don't know how many people in the neighborhood have signed a petition, but I understand I did, and I think there's more than 300 signatures on there, and Alicia and I was talking about this, but that to me looks like about 20% of the voting population in Newberry. So typically, I've been told it's 1,200. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I mean, correct me if you can. But the way I look at issues is, and you know, I'm not in official capacity, but so typically if you have a large block on one side and another large block on the other side, that creates a tough decision. But in this case, I don't see the other side. I don't see 300 people lining up saying they want the bridge. So it would seem to me like overwhelmingly the people that are concerned don't want it open. And so I just wanted to share that perspective. That's really all I have to say, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong with the number of people that vote. I don't know for sure, but.
The town clerk would have to answer that question.
Okay. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes?
I'm having wicked trouble understanding the people speaking, and also there is no sound of Channel 9 according to four text that is received.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I'll have them speak up to the microphone better.
Maybe stretch the microphone up.
Is there anyone else? Public comment?
Is this thing working? David Maida, 61 Larkin Road. I spoke at the last hearing. I'd just like a little clarification because the gentleman that just spoke is right. It looked like we have about 300 signatures on a petition that nobody seems to want this bridge. And I don't think it's really just about the bridge. It's really about the traffic coming through. I live on there. I lived in there when the bridge was open. I lived there when the bridge was closed. And traffic is significantly different when you had that bridge open. And it was a cut through and it was fast. And if they do anything with that gas station, I know they're in land court trying to go back in for a coffee, drive through and a gas station. And people are going to be cutting through on their way to school, on their way to the highway to get a coffee or to stop into the convenience store at Pearson's or whatever it is. But I don't understand. I keep hearing the same story. We want to stop through traffic. That's what everybody on the street wants. That's what everybody on both sides of that bridge wants, is to just stop through traffic. And I keep hearing, why can't we put up a gate that has a lock on it that or some sort of a device that the emergency vehicles can get through, whether they're police or whether it's an ambulance. And I keep hearing one thing, 300 people don't want it. The chief of police in Georgetown does. So I know he's the chief of police in Georgetown, but I think we're going to negotiate a little bit harder for the people that are in this room and the people that live on that street. And last thing we need is there's a lot of little kids on the street. We've gone through the full cycle. We had a lot of little kids. They all grew up. Now we get a lot of little kids again. We get a lot of pets. All you need is one kid flying through or somebody flying through and take out a pet, or God forbid they take out a kid, and you'll see how fast that gate gets locked. All right? Is it safer to have traffic coming down that street? That's going to be substantially more than it is now. Or is it a little bit of an inconvenience for the cop to get out of the car and unlock the door and open the gate and get in? All emergency vehicles are coming down Larkin Road anyway. So I don't really understand. Politics has gone crazy in this country. It seems like the people that you elect do not represent the will of the people. The will of the people is spoken. We want a gate. We don't want through traffic. The chief of police might want it. Maybe he has to get out of his car and unlock a lock. That would be good for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is still no sound.
Yeah.
Should I do it again?
I don't have, but people at home are not hearing anyone.
Okay, Mike, can you hear what's going on?
I can hear, but also
Okay.
the residents have the right to hear all this.
Okay, well, we'll have that discussion. That's coming up on the agenda, okay? We're not gonna have it now.
Okay.
Okay, is there anyone else?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Justin Londrigan, 38 Larkin. You know me, back again. So I want to thank you, everyone. I want to add a couple things. So our perspective is 315 people signed the petition. We don't understand. We understand why Georgetown wants the bridge. That's loud and clear, right? Georgetown wants the tax revenue from the development. Georgetown wants to send its own utilities under the culvert to get additional revenues on a monthly basis to the 9 houses. So we get what Georgetown's in it for. We understand. We went to the Georgetown Select Board. We heard the chief of police talk about why the gate needs to be open. My understanding is the 9 houses would actually be served by Newbury EMT response if the situation was dire, regardless of whether the bridge is open or not. But at the end of the day, we're here in Newbury. You represent, I believe, Newbury residents. What we would like answered is, what is the benefit to Newbury in opening this bridge, which is on Newbury soil? We understand the benefit to Georgetown. Frankly, we don't care. And we ask that you don't care either. We understand, I believe, and we are sensitive to the fact that you're under pressure from Georgetown, the developer, to live into a promise you think you made over 5 years ago. I believe there is a way out of that promise based on a 5-year stipulation that I've heard rumors about. I also believe there are other ways out of that promise. I don't believe the developer is going to be suing the town of Newbury. I think the developer doesn't want to build this culvert. So I think what would happen if you shot down the culvert is Georgetown would acquiesce and let him have his houses without the culvert being open because they want the revenue. And he would be happy, and Newbury would be happy. Georgetown might not be a little happy, but we don't care about Georgetown again. Sorry, Georgetown people. So we're here, we respectfully ask that we get clarification on how this is in Newbury residents' best interests, and we ask you to revisit this because we don't believe it is, and we think there is still time for you to change your mind on this. And that the fallout would be less scary than you think.
Thank you.
Hi, Catherine Londrigan, also 38 Larkin. The only thing I want to add is a request for a formal conversation or to be formally put on the agenda so that we can discuss all points of view and we can hear your views on what's in it for Newbury. I feel like we've asked many times and we really want clarification on that. Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else? So, Julie, can I please ask you to make a note that at our next select board meeting, which is the end of August, that the Larkin Bridge Road project be added as an agenda item?
Sure.
Thank you. And I think once we have it on the agenda, like, we as a board can only move on certain things. We can't just meet to talk. We have to have something to talk about and something to tell people. So until this point, we couldn't add it as an agenda item, but I believe we're at the point now that we can have this conversation. And this conversation will continue. So I know Mr. Lonergan has emailed me some questions that I have answered. If you have any other questions, either bring them with you the night of the meeting or send them along so we could have them. But I know it sounds like we're not listening, but we are, just so you know that.
Can I ask one just quick follow-up? Are we hearing that there is further discussion that has to happen before a final decision is made? Or are we,
I don't know what the final decision, that must be rain.
no one knows, seems to know.
Exactly, we need
Have your
to,
windows down,
yeah.
head out and put them up.
We don't discuss these items outside of the public hearing, the public meeting rather, not a public hearing. So I can't tell you how he feels, I can't tell you how she feels, I can't tell you how he feels. We have to come together with an item, as an agenda item, and have this discussion, which will happen next month.
Right, my clarification is, so the culvert construction would not begin before there's additional conversations?
Oh, nothing is going to happen
Okay,
until we meet.
Thank
So that's.
thank you very much.
Madam Chair, would you like a motion to put it on?
No, I
The
don't, I can
agenda?
just add it to the
Okay.
agenda.
All right,
I
that's
can
fine.
add it as an agenda item. That's the benefit of being the chair. Did you want to come up and speak?
Yeah, real quick, Bob McKenna, 16 Parish Road, Georgetown, Byfield line. I measured, at the request of my wife, who's been leading the charge on this, I measured the width of that road, Parish Road, all along, and consistently under 20 feet, which is below standard. So the real concern is safety. I know they're talking about quicker response for an ambulance, but my God, I would encourage you all, if you get a chance, to drive down there and walk the road, as we suggested for the Georgetown counterparts like yourselves, and see and imagine kids and dogs and elderly. It's people walking there all the
So
time.
just to give you guys a little bit of,
Go
maybe
ahead.
make you feel a little better, I personally have done that.
Okay.
Selectman Colby, have you taken a ride down there to see it?
I grew up in this town, I'm very familiar with
Okay.
Lock and Roll.
All right.
So have you gone down there, and have you gone down there?
Today I was down there for the second time.
Yeah.
And
So I've been
Larkin
there
becomes
several times.
Parish Road when you keep going, when the culvert is
And
open.
Selectman Doyle, have you been there?
I've got a bunch of pictures of how narrow certain parts of that road are, and it scared the living Jesus out of me.
So we're gonna have this conversation when it's on the agenda.
All right.
We'll be having it then.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other public comment tonight?
I just have a quick question, sorry, I know I already went.
We're at 7:50.
Yeah.
I saw that my name was listed on the agenda as having sent an email or something, is that
Nope, yeah, you don't need to speak to it, it's just part of the agenda. Okay, it's 7:15, we need to have a public hearing. Clark, our magnificent Clark, right over here to the right of me, is going to read that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, good night.
This is the Town of Newbury Select Board public notice, public hearing notice. Residents of the Town of Newbury and other interested persons, please note that on Tuesday, July 27th, 2021, at 7:15 PM, at Town Hall of Newbury Municipal Offices, second floor hearing room, 12 Kent Way, Byfield, Mass., the Newbury Select Board will hold a public hearing in accordance with the provisions of MGL CH 61A on the notice of intent to sell 68 Green Street, Newbury, Mass. For other than agricultural use, specifically for residential use. The area in Chapter 61A consists of 15.110 acres, more or less, and is shown on Lot 21 on the Assessors Map 32, Parcel R35 021. For more information, contact the Select Board at 978-465-0862, extension 301. All persons interested or wishing to be heard relative to this notice of intent to sell for other use should appear at the time and place designated above. Alicia Greco, Chair, Select Board, Newburyport Daily News, piece published twice, da-da-da-da-da.
Thank you.
I like the da-da.
So, this is a new public hearing. Has the green cards been returned that you're aware of?
Yes, they have.
They all been, thank you. And the tear sheets from the Daily News, illegal as they've all been received, okay. Is there an applicant's representative to present the project or to speak to this project?
Yes.
Here tonight? Oh, come on up.
Speak to the project, we're just selling.
You have to come up, state your name. And your,
Hi, Eva Jackman, I'm the trustee of
see you
68
behind the mask. Hi, Eva.
Green Street Realty Trust.
Go ahead, Becca.
And we are actually selling the project as a whole. So we won't be doing anything else.
Okay, so that's nothing else to say? Okay, thank you.
We've been doing this, what, 3 years? I think, yeah, we covered it. This is the tax release form. I don't know if you need it.
I haven't got that far on my list. So, I'm gonna ask the board, do you have any comments? Jerry?
No.
Jeff? JR?
No, I don't see where it will fit a municipal need.
No. Mike, do you have any comments about the 61A?
Fine, I'm good.
You're good? We haven't received any written correspondence on this, have we, Julie? No, I don't think so.
Just the two emails from internal that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna open up this to the public, because it's a public hearing, so is there any public comment or questions regarding this project besides the applicant? Going once? Okay. Anybody have any other questions or comments? Nope. Okay, so,
Actually, I do, just for the record, our packet includes copies of the assessor's office and also the planning board that indicated that they did not see a need to exercise our right of first refusal.
correct. They don't find a municipal use for it. I've looked at this property and I don't see a municipal use for it either, personally me. I see no reason why not to let this project go forward. So, because we're in remote, Selectman Doyle's in remote, we need to have a roll call vote. So I guess I'd ask for a motion.
May I inquire?
Yes.
What will the ultimate project be?
It's a 3 homes, single-family homes, on the 15 acres.
Wow.
It's quite beautiful.
I bet, yeah.
It's a good project for Newbury. It leaves that open land and doesn't crowd it in. With the help of the planning board, They really came up with a nice design. I think it's gonna work really well.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck with it.
Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion.
A motion not to exercise our right to retain the 61A property for municipal use.
Or sign it.
Second.
You'll have a second.
Thanks, Mike.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Any further discussion at all? I don't see any place for the municipal use for this. It's, like Eva said, it's gonna be nice when it's all done that way. So I'm gonna have a roll call vote. J.R. Colby,
Yes.
Mike Doyle,
Yes.
Jerry Heavy,
Yes.
Jeff Walker,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Now,
That's a yes, not to exercise our, yeah.
it's a yes not to exercise our right of first refusal or to assign it.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Roll call vote, J.R. Colby,
Yes.
Mike Doyle,
Yes.
Jerry Heavy,
Yes.
Jeff Walker,
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, so,
So, Chairman, I'll come in to sign it sometime this week.
okay,
Okay? All right.
yeah, thank you. Board and committee reports. I have the report of the chairwoman. I signed the BW 2127 Staples order for office supplies and the payroll for Julie O'Brien, 2126, 2127, and 201, and the 2201 payroll for the select board. Under grants, gifts, and donations, we have a Council on Aging donation from Linda Jackson for $20.
Motion to accept?
Second.
Roll call vote, J.R. Colby,
Yes.
Mike Doyle,
Yes.
Jerry Heavy,
Yes.
Jeff Walker,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Council on Aging donation from Ginny Nichols, $9.
Motion to accept?
Second.
J.R. Colby,
Yes.
Mike Doyle,
Yes.
Jerry Heavy,
Yes.
Jeff Walker,
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Council on Aging donation from Hendrick Tans, $5.
Motion to accept?
Second.
Any discussion? J.R. Colby,
Yes.
Mike Doyle,
Yes.
Jerry Heavy,
Yes.
Jeff Walker,
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Council on Aging donation from Joyce Macheros, $20. Can I have a motion?
Motion to accept?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Council on Aging donation from Norma McKay, $25.
Motion to accept?
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. We also have a donation for the Jane D. Moore Fund, William Adams, $250.
Motion to accept?
Second.
Discussion. The Jane D. Moore Fund is, the trustees of the First Settlers continue to accept any donations to the Jane D. Moore Fund, which are used for the upkeep of the grounds for the town of Newbury First Settlers Burial Ground. So, any further discussion?
Motion to accept?
No, we already have that.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Roll call vote. J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. We have a World War II Memorial Site Grant from the Newburyport Bank Charitable Foundation of $2,152 to erect a sign at the World War II Memorial Site in Newbury. Can I get a motion?
Motion to accept?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes.
I'd like to send a letter to them thanking them for that large donation.
Yes.
A motion, do
Second.
I need a motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco? Yes. Now we have a request for public property use for the First Parish Church banner, First Parish Food Pantry, rather, banner.
Motion to accept. Motion to approve.
Where's the banner?
It's gonna go at the backstop at the
Yep.
Newbury Lights.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Yep.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco? Yes. Request for public property use for UCAN Sports 5K road race.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? J.R. Colby? Oh,
If we can just notify them, we might do it as normal procedure now, no spray paint in the roads.
oh, yeah.
That has been an issue in the past, not with them specifically, but.
I couldn't hear what Chairman Colby said, Joyce.
I just mentioned we should remind them not to spray paint the roads. Not with this organization in particular, but in the past in those events, we've been left with some.
Good idea, good idea.
Okay,
I just
all right.
couldn't hear you.
I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, for any of the races, they should be
Yeah,
standard
I thought
procedures.
somebody
They
had written
can't.
on one of
Yes,
theirs,
one-
yeah,
that
that they
they would not,
weren't gonna
yes.
paint. I don't think it was that one, though.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia
I'm
Greco?
gonna recuse from the next.
Okay. We have a request for public property use for Essex County Greenbelt, the Tour de Greenbelt. It's a water stop. Can I get a motion?
Motion to accept.
In a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco? Yes. Request for public property use, the Coast to the Cure Neurofibromatosis Bike Ride.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? I should probably ask, is anybody here to speak to any of these things?
I came from Greenbelt in case you have any questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, I kind of, did you want to speak to your event?
I just came in case you had questions, but thank you for approving it already.
Oh, you're welcome, you're just a water stop. Okay, have fun. Anybody from Coast to the Cure for neurofibromatosis that wants to speak about their event? Nope, okay. Roll call vote, J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yeah, yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco? Yes. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Business license, Schneller, BMW, doing business as Michael Morris, 26 Middle Road, Unit 1, General Business Automotive.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco? Yes. We have a one-day liquor license for the Byfield Community Arts Center, Liz Frame concert.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Lost my, hold on, lost my agenda, here we go. We have a one-day liquor license for the Byfield Community Arts Center for a Mike Vitale concert. Can I get a motion?
Motion to
Motion to
accept.
accept.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, J.R. Colby,
Yes.
Mike Doyle,
Yes.
Jerry Heavy,
Yes.
Jeff Walker,
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Next, we have the Council on Aging, a space needs report. Is anyone here from the Council on Aging?
Yes. Bill DeMail, 12 Orchard Street, Vice Chair of the Board of Directors, Council on Aging. Joyce couldn't make it tonight. We'll start with, on June 20th, 2020, a presentation was made to the Select Board. The findings of the Newbury Senior Center space was prepared by Joyce, Evelyn Noyes, and Sandra Small.
Okay,
I believe your recommendation that night was to have a formal assessment done of the space needs, and that was done by context. They literally plotted out sizes of rooms, conference rooms, kitchens, so on and so forth. And that has evolved into a layout which was given to us, the board of directors, to look at. And I'm not sure if you've seen it. I have copies if you need them. Yes?
Yeah, you can just deliver everything to us. We're gonna just accept the report tonight.
Okay, okay. We were given this layout, and the board of directors voted to say, this layout satisfies the space requirements of the Newbury Council of Aging. If the will of the town is to erect a standalone building that meets this space requirement, that's fine. If the will of the town is to move it into an existing building by itself that meets 10,000 square feet with this layout, that's fine. And if the will of the town is to combine it with another project, as long as it meets this pictorial, it meets the needs, space needs of the Council of Aging. That's why we passed this on to the select board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your work on the committee.
Yes, thank the committee.
Sure.
You can pass everything to Julie that you have.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Next item on the agenda is a meeting broadcast discussion. Okay, so as everyone knows, as Mike has already said tonight, we're having issues with our Comcast station TV Channel 9 being
This is on the live broadcast.
the live broadcast of Comcast Channel 9 from home is intermittent at best. So I'm gonna ask Matt Cooper, our IT director, I was gonna say guru, but our IT director,
Head computer monkey.
to come speak, if you could just stand up and speak to the board about what you see the issues are and your opinion. Thank you.
All right, good evening, but formally identify myself, Matt Cooper, IT Director for the town of Newbury. What we're seeing now is a confluence of different factors, none of which are playing in our favor. Historically, these factors did not exist. When everything existed over at 25 High Road, our Center for Recording and our Center for Broadcast were in the exact same building, connected by maybe 50 feet of direct cable. There was nothing that would get in the way of things from point of recording to point of transmission. When the town hall offices moved out of 25 High Road to 12 Kent Way, the intent was to only have the solution for maybe 2-3 years. So because of the potential costs of moving all of the broadcast equipment and infrastructure necessary to do the broadcast, here, the decision was, let's just let it ride for a little bit because we'll be back at 25 High Road in no time flat. Well, things didn't play out that way, obviously, because we're having a meeting now. The measures taken to account for that distance worked well enough at the time. They are becoming increasingly insufficient as time goes on. The short version is we're trying to use a Comcast connection at either site to push the transmission, the recording from here, to the transmission to 25 High Road, which then supplies both the Comcast central office as well as the live stream and the video on demand for everyone who's tuning in to either this online, which we're getting an increasing number of as cable subscriptions go down, more people are doing everything online. So the viewership is, the demographic is switching from everything on cable TV to everything streaming, because we're all looking at it on this or that with an internet connection. As that happens, the load on the bandwidth capabilities at both sites is starting to get maxed out. We have a Comcast connection at both sites, which is great downloading. You can high stream all the high def videos and radio you want and no one will notice the difference. But as soon as you go up, which is what this two-way connection relies very heavily on, things start to fall down. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of, supposedly, up to 300 down, which is great, but we only have about 25, 30 up. 25, 30 megabits up, which is an internet speed from, don't ask me how many years ago. It's endemic to the service. That's just the nature of the Comcast service. They focus on consumables, not pushing out content. The overwhelming majority of their customers are doing it to do video on demand or streaming or games or what have you. That was okay when we had less streamers, when we had less video on demand available for review. With every passing week, we're probably getting one or more streamers, especially in recent history. Local government items have become of much higher interest. So we're getting more viewership, more demand, more taxing on the system. On at least one occasion, we've also had the line was physically disconnected from the pole. We were never actually given an official reason for that other than maybe it got disconnected while working on the police department. But again, Comcast gave us no official reason why it was disconnected. There was a noteworthy moment where it went down for the night, and that's because we had to rush call someone in the earliest they could get us was the next day, and that's what they determined. Our equipment at the building was fine. Our connections in the building were fine. Something failed out there. More recent occurrences are a result of the cable modem, not unlike the ones that you all have at your homes to get internet. Basically, for lack of a better term, buckling under the load. If it gets too much down and up at the same time, you will get a frozen cable modem that won't do anything until you reboot it. And those cable modems are built to a price, so they take anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes to fully come online. That has been the more frequent version of it. That sounds all bad, I'm aware. There's a few things we could try to do something about it. I have a handful of options available. I don't expect any resolution on this evening. My point to come up here is to share the information and let everyone kind of digest it, mull it over, develop counter questions or whatnot for later. This is a bigger issue that's going to be more than a, spend 20 more bucks and upgrade the service. And I'll get to that momentarily. Option one is stay the course. It's not a pleasant option, but we basically ride out the temporary arrangement here at 12 Kent until we can move back to 25 High Road, in which case everything goes back to the way it was when service was never interrupted because there was nothing in the way of interrupting the service. Right now, too many things can interrupt our service. Anything from a bad storm, as Ethan and I were looking into the sound issue that Select Person Doyle mentioned earlier. The stuff is going through, the audio is starting to chop in and out, which is a primo sign of bandwidth limitations. The thunderstorm probably doesn't have much to do with it unless it's affecting the lines, which would affect the bandwidth. The fact that we have to go out to the internet to get across town is probably also a factor. When I say we have to go across town, we're not going 6 miles down the road as the lines go. We're going from here to the central office in Newbury, to New York City, to Wichita, Kansas, to a few other sites that wouldn't respond to a trace route inquiry on my end to finally come up at the end spot. So we're dealing with, and in that area, there's a lot that can mess with us. From a data center failure to a DDoS attack to tons of stuff that, all bad, not worth mentioning because it gets a little too geeky, but that is adversely affecting the ability to do stuff. So the second option and the third option and the fourth option sort of get into considering whether we need to do something here, which raises the question, how much do we want to put into the rented space? Option two is we can try to upgrade the service at both sites. There is one step up available from where we have, which will give us 5 extra megabits of service. That may do something, and I say it with that shrug kind of thing because 5 megabits doesn't mean much. It could fix it sometimes, it could do nothing the next time. But we could try it. It's relatively low risk, we can try it out. If there's an improvement, great. If there's no improvement, well, we can downgrade it. It's a relatively low risk. But there's also absolutely no guarantee on improvement. The third option, which is going to cost us some money, is to try to simulate the old ways, except this time, instead of moving back to 25 High Road, we move all the equipment and the infrastructure from 25 High Road over here to 12 Kent. That will be reasonably expensive. I've already contacted Comcast. They're getting back to me with a formal quote. Unfortunately, I did not have it for this evening. Based on previous communications I've had at other placements, it would start at 30 grand. And that's just to run the lines. That wouldn't account for.
That would be using every bit of our old stuff.
That would, well, yes, what that would do is it would make a direct local connection. Like I said, 100 feet of direct cable from the equipment next door to the point of transmission, which is what we do not have now. Right now, there's a world between us and 25 High Road. Bringing it in-house would eliminate that. That would put all of our transmission equipment here. It would make it quicker to respond to technical issues, it would make it easier to manage, and it would remove the problems we have with distance. But it will not be cheap, because Comcast is going to have to move a special line from 25 High Road to 12 Kent. We'll then have to add some additional equipment to the broadcast stuff so that it can connect to that line. That equipment usually happens outside the building, so it's not something we just pull off the shelf and plug in on the other side of the wall. It will also probably involve police details, because almost everything that involves line work involves police details. So we're talking, I would say, comfortably into 5 figures, maybe pushing the low end of 6, maybe, depending on the scope of work. We wouldn't know until they give us an estimate and a reasonable idea of where they'd have to run the lines. Unfortunately, they cannot come down 95. That would be great. That would cut the distance a lot, but that's not how it works. We're going to have to either go up one side and over or up the other side and over, which makes it longer.
Okay.
The last option, which I want to put out to the board for future consideration, something that should be kind of on the horizon radar, but I would ill advise right now, is to sort of go the next step beyond moving one piece of infrastructure and putting in a bigger piece of infrastructure, which would be connecting all of the municipal buildings with fiber optic cable. It would be dedicated cable, it would be only ours, we wouldn't have to fight with the world for bandwidth, and it would be more than enough to meet our needs for, based on what I've seen in the past, easily 10 years or more. Probably more, considering the amount of stuff we push through our internet lines. Our internet usage doesn't exactly get massively huge, and it would be able to account for ever-increasing video usage. That is a very expensive proposition. Last time I did it, it ran about $350,000, and it involved connecting to buildings that weren't going to change at any point in the near future, which is why I'd like to make sure you're aware of it, but I would advise against it presently, because there are currently at least two. Yes?
What was the price? What was the price?
Oh, for this last option?
Yeah, for option 5.
Oh, for the last option, the last time I did this, it ran about $350,000.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And it also
Just one other thing real quickly. In the last month and a half, I've had tremendous problems with Comcast. And I'm not sure if it's a coincidence with the police station, but I mean, I only had 2 hours yesterday. I spent an hour and a half with Comcast receiver because there are major Comcast problems in this neighborhood. So that's might be what you're running into now.
Okay, Michael, can I ask, when you had to address him, can you go through me, please, again?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, that's okay, thank you.
Can I go through you now, or do I have to wait?
Just let him finish, okay? Thank you. I'm sorry.
No problem. Related to that point, the type of service we have available here, the only type of service we have available here at Comcast, is what's called a shared bandwidth service, which means everybody in an area, commercial or residential, is basically dipping out of the same pot for bandwidth. So picture sucking liquid through a straw by yourself. 1 straw, very easy. 2 straws, noticeably harder. 4 straws, you're going to start to get lightheaded before it hits the top of the straw. That's effectively how the bandwidth is being spread out here in town, which means if we're having a very busy night, lots of folks are tuning in, or lots of folks are doing anything unrelated. It doesn't even have to be tuning into our stuff. That resource is dissipating out, and we'll be fighting for it just like everybody else. But again, and that last option again makes a lot of assumptions. It assumes that those buildings aren't really going anywhere anytime soon. And we have at least 2 buildings right now whose home is, their final home has not been completely determined. So making that kind of an investment might not be the greatest idea. Moving the transmission infrastructure here would be somewhat expensive, but if the board felt that was the best way to go, that would be the happy balance of price versus effectiveness for resolving our live transmission issues. It does only affect live transmissions though. The meetings are being recorded properly. They get online on both YouTube and our video on demand server. So it's available to pretty much anyone with an internet connection, whether or not they even know about Channel 9.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be questions either now or in the near future.
Well, that's a lot to digest.
Yes. I've been looking into this a lot since about week 2.
Okay.
Alicia?
My board, Jeff.
Have you, obviously you know how much space that equipment that's in the bottom of the building, there seems to be quite a bit over there when I last looked. Is it gonna all fit somewhere?
We need additional space.
Yeah, the problem
So that's what I
is, yeah,
figured.
the equipment itself is a little bit, well, it's a little bit bulky, to put it gently. The other problem is it's noisy. I mean, I don't mean like air conditioner running noisy. I mean like small jet engine taxiing for takeoff kind of noisy.
Well,
That type of.
we lived with it before, and we only were a wood floor. I get a little lost with the 30 stretch to maybe 6-figure stretch to get it over here and use it. So when we really maybe could refine that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely,
I
yes.
I don't see things moving as quick as we'd like, and to have poor service for the next 2 or 3 years doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's difficult to nail down an exact cost because it's determined by the length they have to run, the time it's going to take to run that length, the details that go along with it, plus, as Tracy mentioned a moment ago, the additional space that we're going to have to block out here with the landlords. And
Matt, try to isolate yourself with some of the best installers, because you're only gonna be as good as who you get.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to Comcast's direct stuff, they may have a list of subcontractors. I know a couple there's not too many games in town around here. I've got good relations with one of them I did work with recently. They're very good, and they are big on the value add.
Well,
They help hook you up, they help make sure it's working. They're not charging extra for the little bits and bobs that come on after the
But you're
deployment.
gonna need almost riggers to move some of that stuff out of there. Because they're gonna be taking it apart and moving it through doorways. Some of that stuff's good size.
Yes. Oh, no, I've been because of this particular issue, I've been down there a few times fighting with the equipment and looking at the equipment. Yep, some of it's pretty big. The biggest concern I have is actually the moving of moving the hardware from 25 High Road to 12 Kent is probably the least problematic portion of that.
And we got enough juice in this building to run everything, I'm sure, right?
We'd have to.
You check
That would be
that.
probably.
It takes a lot of power. It would not blow out the building. Buildings like this are designed to handle much heavier loads than the town's currently crank. Our server footprint over there and our power consumption is relatively low by most standards. One of the benefits of being a small town is we can run smaller infrastructure and be really good to go. So on that front, we're doing well. The broadcast stuff, that's less negotiable. That's broadcast equipment. There's no big town broadcast equipment and little town broadcast. It's just the broadcast equipment.
Our physical components, could most of them be moved here? The ones we have, or are some so obviously outdated?
So our equipment is dated. However, the age of the equipment is not a factor in this particular issue. However, we are finalizing, moving forward with the purchase of updated equipment for the stuff at 25 High Road. Just because it's about time. like an old truck. It's actually, they're running quite well if you maintain them, but they're getting a little long in the tooth and they're getting harder to support. So we want to move off of them before they decide to give up the Ghost, well, during, one of these. But I would consider that a separate issue because all of the issues we've been encountering have nothing to do with our actual broadcast equipment. This is all sort of infrastructure and geography and internet limitations.
Okay. Jerry?
Yep. You talk about cost, you are aware that there's at least $600,000 in the PEG account. So I guess, to me, having these problems when we have that much money that we're not spending is absolutely inexcusable, because the people who can't come to the meetings, they want to watch it live. So I find that there's no excuse for having this poor broadcast quality. Also, up until a few weeks ago, the weather on Channel 9 said it was 30 degrees. Why isn't anybody even looking at that, updating it? I mean, that to me is Mickey Mouse stuff that,
With regards to spending the money, again, because the decision to simply go in whole hog on a brand new solution was something we were sort of holding off on because, again, we're in a temporary space. By the way, I think
So-
Mike has his hand up.
Yeah, hold on one second, Mike. That's the whole point of this conversation,
Right.
is to solve the solution.
right.
Okay,
but-
go ahead.
But why for weeks, when it was springtime, were we seeing it's 30 degrees out, 32 degrees on Channel 9? Nobody put their eyeballs on it. That's something that someone, an administrative assistant, someone should do and should consciously look at what's being played.
That was just recently brought to our attention, and I'm actually engaging the vendor who helped with the original equipment to get that addressed. I was doing some work over there just last week to make sure we could get into that remotely so that I could get the vendor on there to address that in detail.
Thank you, Matt.
And also, who makes the decision? Because sometime lately I heard, oh, well, that didn't get put on, like the debate didn't get put on because no one told me to put it on. Who makes the decision?
So, excuse me, Jerry, what what debate are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about the debate for this past election. It wasn't broadcast.
candidate
live.
forum?
Yes, exactly. And I heard it was because someone wasn't told they needed to
Who did you
turn
hear
it
that
on.
from?
I'm not certain. At this juncture, I'd rather not say it, quite frankly.
All right.
That
I don't
wasn't
wanna-
on.
I don't wanna
I
name
thought-
names, but-
I thought it was on.
Someone, no, it wasn't,
I
it
thought it
was
was on
not
too.
on live. It wasn't on live. So my question is, who makes the decision on the government channel what will and will not be broadcast?
I think we're getting off
Yeah,
base.
off
here.
topic.
As a town employee,
It's a good-
there
it's
are
a good
First
question.
Amendment rights that people are being violated if they can't get themselves on TV.
I'm
I
sorry, I don't
guess I have a different opinion. What we need to weigh here is, we do have money to spend, that's indisputable. What we have to decide is how much do we justify spending to have live meetings? The meetings being live, I guess, is great as a matter of convenience if you want to flop on your couch and watch it without coming down here, but watching it live.
Mike, wait a
please-
minute, just
please
wait
let
a
me
second,
finish, Mike.
okay?
There's nothing to get upset about in this discussion right now.
Yeah.
Well, yes, there is.
The purpose of filming the meetings is for a permanent record. Some people, including myself, think the live meetings might not always be a positive because it stops people from coming and engaging. If I can just sit on my couch and see what's going on and not participate, why is being live so important? I can see it's a convenience, and if you're tuning in for entertainment value or to be informed, but anyone who really has something to say is gonna come down to this room. And here again, we have plenty of money to rectify the live situation, but I just want to put it out there that we all really need to think about the importance of these meetings being live and how much we justify spending on that when the people home enjoying that
All right, thank you. Can I just?
aren't
let him-
necessarily here voting.
Let Mike talk.
I'm sorry.
Mike, go ahead, your turn.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah.
First of all, I'm not at home on my couch sitting and enjoying this day. I'd rather be there, but people do get sick and they have to watch things. That number two, How long have we been in this building? How long have we been in Kent Way?
Too long.
How long? Anyone know?
We're 2 years into our second lease.
Over 5 years now.
It's been over five years now.
Okay, we knew we were gonna be there for a while, and we're gonna be there for another 3 years. So I kept saying, bring over everything, because everyone can blame me Comcast issues on, it's over the Hill Police Station. So you know something, it's time to, because we're not only having no hearing, that turns people off, okay, and no sound, and no, we've lost pictures, and the other day the council meeting wasn't even recorded. So don't tell me we've got a good public access. We got a terrible public access.
Mike, stop, okay? We're not,
No,
nobody's,
I'm not gonna stop.
nobody's saying that we have a good public access. There is a problem, which is why it's on the agenda, which is why we're trying to solve the problem. Okay, Jerry?
Well,
Yes, I just want to
I was in
answer.
the media committee with you a long time ago.
Hold on, Mike. Mike, Jerry
Mike,
speaking.
I'd like to hear what Jerry has to say.
I just, in reference to what you were saying, the governor is considering passing legislation to have everything recorded on Zoom because they realized from the pandemic that a lot of people who wouldn't necessarily come to a meeting were watching the government channels on all of the communities. So it's not just a fact that people want to flop down. The governor realizes that more people have access to their government by the Zoom that was produced during the pandemic.
Right, but Zoom and a live broadcast are two different things.
Yeah, but, I mean, the bottom line
They're
is.
two different things.
Yeah,
No, they're not.
but,
I'm alive right now.
Yeah, and we hear you loud and clear.
Good.
Yeah,
May I
okay.
speak to
Yes.
that to maybe clarify?
Mike.
I believe the key difference here is a Zoom meeting where the general public comes in and participates, like we did during the COVID period, is the virtual equivalent of everyone coming in here, whether they're sitting on a couch, at an office desk, at a chair, or the office over there to maintain social distancing. That's a live interactive process. You're not tuning in and you're not turning in and tuning out, as opposed. And I believe JR's emphasis was sort of on simply watching the live meeting is not engaging, you're just watching something transpire. If you have a concern or a problem or a question, you might as well talk to the TV screen because that's about as much answer as you're going to get if you're just watching a broadcast.
Zoom is a totally different thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an apples and oranges thing, and it's a little bit off from what we're trying to address here.
Alicia,
Mike,
Alicia,
wait a minute.
Matthew, real quickly. People, when we had Zoom, questioned, fine. They called in questions and they got to speak on Zoom. So we can do that, okay? And I don't know why we can't do a combination of both because the pandemic is coming back, whether you know it or not.
Okay, Mike, you're getting off topic now.
No.
Okay, Jeff?
No, listen,
Let me-
I'm always off topic with you.
Jeff?
Michael, to go back to what we started, listening to everyone kind of esoterically, I don't think anyone is afraid to spend the money it takes to correct the problems we have for transmission. So for me, I'm not afraid to make a motion for you to really give us a hard figure to fix this. So.
Well, let's.
Because, I mean, where are you gonna go from here? I mean,
Right.
like Jerry said, I'm not afraid of the money, JR's not afraid of the money, you're not afraid of the money, Mike's not afraid of the money, so why don't we?
Because we, just for the public interest, because we have the money, it's part of the Comcast.
So why don't we
Contract we
really
have.
nail down what it's gonna take to move the equipment over here and fix the problem?
So let's.
fix the problem.
I would
so
liken
let's-
that to why don't I put a turbocharger on a leased car? Yes, whether you may have the money
can't-
and you may have the
Matt-
desire, but if you don't own the car, you're basically giving all of that upgraded equipment to whomever
Matt,
you're paying to
Matt.
give the car back to later.
We can't really, we gotta find a solution, whatever it takes.
Oh, agreed.
I
I
think
would say that was just the
Can
point.
you
That's the
run-
point of consideration.
Can you run hardwire over there?
That would be dedicated cable. That falls in line with the moving not only the broadcast hardware, but the infrastructure necessary to run the broadcast. It's not just a Comcast signal going into the building. It's a special
So we
Comcast
have
service
to-
line.
We actually have to move the hardware over here.
And the infrastructure, yes. When I say infrastructure, I
Well,
mean
the
there's a special line
infrastructure,
from.
If we move the infrastructure over here, I'm sure we can do a, agreement with Mr. Kelly that it's not gonna stay here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, no, when I say the infrastructure, I don't just mean our servers in the rack. I mean
The wires and
the
the
lo-
walls.
There's a special type of dedicated broadcast line that needs to go from the Comcast central office to our broadcast equipment. It's not just our streaming capability is separate from our broadcast. They're on two very different services. So when it's going out to Channel 9, it's going over a special line that's got to be run to that
Do
office.
me a favor,
Yes.
I'm getting lost.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
find me a solution.
Matt Matt has proposed
So-
us a few different solutions.
Yeah, and I'm
But
gonna
I'm-
pick
but
up
they're
that,
not making
wait a minute,
them-
let
Well,
me,
do we need time to
They're not clear.
digest? Or
Well, they're
Yes.
not,
do
they're
we
not
wanna-
clear.
so
Okay.
let me, so the four things that you said, I think I wrote them down, tell me if I'm correct.
Yeah, I did.
One is stay the course.
Yes.
Okay, so do we, anybody in this board feel as if we should stay the course?
Acceptable.
If I may, in line with what Mr. Walker's saying, instead of voting on the specific options, why not have him as the expert give us
Yeah,
a report
yeah.
on the four different options, how much they are, how long it's going to take?
So we'll have a little time to digest.
Oh, that was my intent. I did not expect the board to make a final decision, and I wanted to make you aware
So,
and give you the
I'm
opportunity
sorry,
to ask me
But
questions
I
after.
kinda, I wanted to get a feel for what the board is feeling right now. I don't think any of us like to stay the course. I get that.
I had to put it out there. I'm being
Yeah.
thorough.
Yeah.
That was good. Obviously, the least desirable solution, but it is a solution.
And I
No.
don't think anyone likes the other one, the fourth or fifth one where we run.
Fiber optic to
Yeah,
everything?
so we're not there, so
So,
somewhere here.
but you mentioned upgrading the service by 5 meg. Is there any cost to that?
sites.
Yes. It's standard operating cost. There's no capital investment in that. It's simply, we pay more per month for there's a dedicated Comcast business service on each end of this for the public access transmission. We have one for the office and one for public access. And there's one over 25 high that's only for public access. We can try to upgrade the service at those two those two instances of the service.
And what would that cost be? You don't know yet?
Right now, it might be about a 40% increase in operating cost.
All right, if you could look into that, 'cause I think that
I
might
did
be
some
a
rough
short-
figuring this afternoon to get an
You're
idea.
not sure that that's gonna clear up anything?
5 megs is not a lot. It might work sometimes. It may
That's
not
of
work
in-
at all
that's-
sometimes as well.
That's not of interest to me,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, so then your third solution was to move the equipment from over to here, rent
Yes.
space, move what we currently have here, but we voted at the town meeting, it's in our budget to upgrade that equipment anyway, so that's, money's already spent.
Yeah, that money's about to be spent, yes. That's,
Okay,
we're
So we're
using,
gonna get new equipment anyways.
we're using those funds that we have on hand right now to purchase that upgraded equipment.
Okay, and then the last one was the fiber optic cable system connecting everything. Is that what happens at the police station now? Do they have fiber optic cable?
I don't believe so.
I thought they did, they had the state of the art.
I don't think they have fiber, well,
They did it.
Not-
The highest, it's one of the highest quality police stations in the country.
Yeah.
All right, well, anyway, so,
They
okay,
didn't.
if you could, I think, can I ask a motion?
Before we ask a motion, can I ask one more question?
Go ahead.
Can Matt please send me a detailed list of all the options, because I am not my sharpest tonight, and I need to, tomorrow, can you just send me an email with all the options and expenses and everything? Just what you've gone through right now.
I can drum something up and submit it to the entire board for everyone to digest. I
That
think
would be
everyone would
great.
benefit from having that info.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
All right, so, I guess I need a motion to provide direction to Matt.
I move that Matt provide us a report of our available options to rectify our live broadcast problem.
Yeah.
Sure.
Listing the options, lead times necessary to cure it, and the cost.
Yes, and I'm expecting some hard figures to be coming in the very near future, so we can add that to the report, as opposed to, I'm giving you educated guesses based on past work.
Right.
But that's not specific to Newbury, and I'd like to get some numbers that are specific to Newbury.
So
for that
we won't
report.
hold you to these first preliminary.
No.
Yeah.
Jerry, would
numbers.
that be a second?
I will second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Mike, I'll start with you.
Set.
You're all
I've
set.
said everything I had to say.
Okay, Jerry?
I'm good.
You're good, Jeff? And JR?
Good.
I am too. Let's have a roll call vote. J.R. Colby,
Yes.
Mike Doyle,
Yes.
Jerry Heavy,
Yes.
Jeff Walker,
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Thank you, Matt.
Awesome, you guys are on my dance card. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Matt, and I know you and Ethan have worked hard to, rectify our challenges as they popped up. and
Appreciate that.
It is appreciated.
Thank you.
Pardon me, folks, I'm just gonna, look into the matter at hand, pardon me.
Thank you. Okay, we have a town administrator's report.
Thank you. Just wanted to let everybody know, it's been set out on our social media, but the Plum Island Turnpike is going to have some intermittent closures. Mass DOT is going to be, well, they've announced the temporary closures over the Plum Island River. It will be each night, Monday, August 2nd through Friday, August 6th, from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. The closure is necessary for crews to rehabilitate the deck area. They're gonna put messaging boards and signage in place. Drivers are being told to expect about 12-minute delays periodically throughout those hours.
What are they doing, Tracy? They're welding the deck,
Yeah,
re-welding the
they're-
deck, yeah,
yeah.
like they do
So-
on the Merrimack River Bridge.
So I have a question about that. Is it gonna be permanently closed, not closed all night? They're just gonna close
No.
it temporarily and then they'll let people on and off when they come?
Exactly.
Okay.
I
Exactly.
think
Thank
it's,
you.
I was there a couple of weeks ago, it was down to one lane.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the dates that they're proposing. It's going to be based on weather, and could be impacted by emergencies, but they'll let us know if there's any changes in those plans. Additional information is on our website, also at www.mass511.com. We are, in the process right now of closing our books on fiscal year 2021. 6:30 is the official close of our fiscal year, and the finance department is spending a great deal of their efforts right now on the final year-end close. The town did receive correspondence from a Plum Island resident named Nancy Silva regarding a situation that occurred on her property involving a coyote.
Oh,
Our animal control officer, Carol Larock, corralled the animal under the property owner's deck. She crawled under with her choke collar tool, harnessed the animal, carried it out over her shoulders, and then deposited it into the animal crate, lifted the crate, and put it onto the environmental police officer's truck. So once again, she goes way above and beyond. She
You don't-
is unbelievably brave.
You don't mess with
It
Carol.
wasn't rabbit, was it?
No, I don't know the answer to that. I hope not.
She probably had her gloves on and everything else.
Yeah, she's always amazingly
she goes
professional.
above and beyond all the
Very,
time.
very brave. We have quite a few new hires. We are welcoming Samantha Holt as our new conservation agent, Christine Beaupre is our inspectional services administrator, Annette Fatino is going to be working in the finance department, and Kathleen Zaremba is our new COA program coordinator. We are actually very fortunate to get such a great response and to have these wonderful quality candidates, as a lot of municipalities are struggling with hiring personnel right now. The MMA has even launched a Mass Town Careers campaign aimed at attracting a new generation. We've had a lot of, we have had retirements as well, but it's not just unique to Newbury. Back in June, the end of June 24th, a resident noticed that there were a large number of deceased frogs in the Upper Green Pond. I don't know if any of you saw that. I had an opportunity to contact Mr. Higgins, Jonathan Higgins, who's worked on the pond before. He did some water quality testing, and everything was relatively normal outside of the temperature of the pond. It was up, at the end of June, it was up around 87 degrees. So he, although, not conclusive, he suspects that may have very well had something to do with it, because those temperatures aren't typical for that time of year. He also noted that there was a small bloom of cyanobacteria, which may have been an added stressor. So he did have some suggestions, and James Surratt is gonna be looking into pricing about putting a well in that would pump into the pond.
Like
to
a dry
try
well?
and- Yeah, to,
Make it less stagnant.
make it less stagnant and improve the water quality. But the geese do continue to be a challenge over there. Larkin Mill Dam Removal Grant, I think I reported to you previously that it was submitted back in, I think, mid-May. Yesterday, we had a group of reviewers come out from Mass Fish and Game, to evaluate our grant application, look at the site, understanding the role that the DPW will play in the removal, and the fact that the boards voted in favor of this project. They were very enthusiastic about it, so we'll look forward to hearing back from them.
That's great.
Yeah, and I think, 19 Independence Way, we finally closed on June 25th.
Great.
On that property, so it has been sold.
Excellent.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna move to old business. The first item is to request to plant a tree in the Lower Green in memory of Peter Hollis. Tim, thank you for your time, and for being here tonight.
With all the lightning, I didn't want to be home, so. Home alone, right? Yeah. I did talk to Elizabeth Hollis today, and she's been, call it the caretaker of the particular tree they want to plant. She's moving August 1st, so if the board approves this planting, we'd like to do it on Saturday, which would be July 31st. So that's where we stand at this point in time.
All right, thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to go out and take a look at the stake that Tim so graciously put in the ground for us? Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I did.
You did? Thank you, Mike.
So Tim, I went out and I listened to what you said about the salt in the roads. And there is a major tree straight down the road that's in the same line, so I liked your placement one. But I think it will keep the tree safe and it won't affect, in my humble opinion, it's not gonna affect the field because there's a tree maybe 50 yards down, 60 yards down, in the same line as where you were. So I like the location.
Yeah, that was the whole idea, is to try and, any plantings that we do in the future, whether it's the lower green or the upper green, is to pull stuff back so the root system doesn't get an issue with the salts and anything like that. That's why there's two of them at that very end that are probably gonna have to come down.
Yeah, but like I said, but my concern was it gonna affect the kids playing? And I personally don't think so, but that's my opinion.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'm just.
Okay. Jeff?
In relationship to the dirt road, in alignment, let's say, with the school. Yep. I'd move it maybe half the distance to the dirt road, because we're not using salt there. And that tree will get large enough that I don't think we should be getting trees out in the middle of the training field. But that's just. Yeah, well, my thought was that as the tree grows and what the actual canopy is gonna be, eventually, if we got it too close to the dirt road, then it's gonna be hanging over the dirt road, the branches as the tree matures. And I'd almost rather have them a little over the dirt road, as long as the root systems weren't imperiled by maybe parking or cars, than having them hanging out over the field. I'm just one. Yeah. So I would like it, my vote would be to move it a little closer to the dirt road, kind of in keeping with what's going on. A paved road, no, but you're not using any salt there. How many feet are you thinking? To me, I'd split the distance, but Tim, when you get, well, let's let everyone else.
I looked at the stake, but I can't imagine we know how many feet off the dirt road that is.
35.
Here's,
Is
here's
it
the
35
stake,
off
and
the,
there's the
is
dirt
it
road.
35 off the?
Yeah.
Then move it, for me, would be 10 feet closer to the dirt road.
Okay.
That, I guess I would tend to agree. If it was just
Yeah.
a smidge closer to the road, I would be happy. I understand the routes and, you know, keeping the traffic off the drip line and the salt.
Yeah.
That'll still keep it
We got no salt on that dirt road.
true, true.
As I said, my thought on it was that by where the stake was, as the tree matures, then you're not gonna have branches that could potentially be low-hanging branches over that dirt road. I mean, the dirt road is what people use for access to go to the schoolhouse.
But that's still not, it's kinda nice even, like, you know,
Yeah.
we got trees overhanging every road in the country. And that's one that at least they're not gonna get salt. But I mean, if it's out over the field,
I
it's
have
just,
a concern that it's, by planting trees, it's just not gonna be green anymore.
Well,
that's why if you get it out into the perimeter of the,
It's a historical, it's on the National Registry as a green, you know, open
Oh,
pasture
I see it.
land.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
but we do have
Yeah,
enough
I
trees there, Alicia, that if you just get it closer to the road, it's more in keeping with what we have.
Yeah, like,
I think there's been,
yeah,
in the, call it,
over here.
recent past, there's been a couple of trees that would be on the other side of the schoolhouse that had to come down because they were just ready to fall down. So there's been trees there. If you walk the outside edge of it, there's been, you can find tree stumps that are there, which means trees were cut down. And at least by trying to, if we did any planting, concentrating it on the far end where the dirt road is, it's not gonna be
Yeah,
interfering with.
the perimeters of the field.
The
Right,
green.
yeah, as opposed to, like where all the pine trees are, you know, those are starting to encroach in on, you know, call it the training field.
Yeah.
Whereas if we plant stuff along the outside edges, it's not gonna have the same effect on it. My humble opinion.
So I feel, and it's just me, that if it was a little closer, like I'm like the 10 feet in, a little bit closer to that dirt road,
Yeah,
I feel that's,
So what are you saying that's any different than what JR and I said?
no, nothing.
All right,
How do you feel,
do
Jeremy?
we wanna split
Yeah.
the difference and go 15 feet?
No, I like the 10 feet.
No, I'm happy with moving it because when I saw the stake, I thought, gee, is that gonna affect kids using the field, playing football, whatever? But, yeah, I'm good with moving
Go
it just
for
to 10
15,
feet.
15?
I like 10. So, yeah, you like 10 or 15?
All right, good.
Well, I know we're trying to get things in a little bit, so we
But
better,
for me, it's crazy, I will go on
Yes,
record as
yes.
saying, I'm not intense about moving things in from a dirt road that doesn't have any salt and minimal plowing. Because it was always in keeping, like you said, to have trees along that dirt road. I'd rather have trees closer to the dirt road than I would the field.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Okay, Selectman Doyle?
Hold on a second, hold on. I have no problem going out 10 feet if Jim thinks it's gonna be comfortable with the tree itself. So the board, I'm not gonna stop that. I just think Jim's the expert. And I go with what he says because he's done it for all his life.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And you're good with that, Mr. Lamprey?
Are you good with that?
yeah, I mean, it's, my worry when I looked at it initially, as I said, was that if I remember right, the canopy spread on a mature red maple is about 60 to 70 feet in width. So by bringing it in the 35 feet, then you're gonna have branches that'll be along, hanging over the edge of the road, but not necessarily hanging anywhere where we're gonna have to come back at some point in time and start trimming up the tree to get those branches that might obstruct people driving in there to go to the school. That was the only reason I picked the 35 feet.
Thank you. So can I have a motion?
Jeff, you wanna?
Motion to plant the tree in memory of Mr. Hollis 10 feet closer to the dirt road than Tim drove the stake.
Okay, so we're
Second.
talking 25 feet off the edge. Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker? Alicia Greco? Yes. Thank you, Tim.
Okay.
Good
So-
luck on Saturday, planting it.
Yep. Well, I talked to James and, from the highway, and he's gonna dig the hole once we get the size of the, container that it's in, so that it'll be easier to just slide it back out of the pot, put it in the ground, get it filled in, you know. I guess some members of the Hollis family are gonna do some watering because they live close enough. They live on Cottage Road.
Okay,
And so they can do some of the watering initially to get it established.
wonderful.
Good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, next is a discussion regarding a recognition plaque for Police Station Building Committee. So we had on our agenda a few months ago that there's a bench, if you look at the police station, pulling into the parking lot, facing the back wall, to the right, there's a bench. And we had motion, do you have it? I don't know if you have that exact language in front of you, Julie, but we.
I don't have the exact language.
We had to put on for a future agenda to discuss the language to put on a plaque, rather to,
Recognition of the building committee.
in recognition of the work that the municipal building committee did, bringing that to completion, because it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
Do we have any ideas on what we would like the plaque to say?
Well, I think it's kind of, I mean, the building committee worked on it a long time, and certainly Eric worked on it for years, and Bob was certainly, and John Keller were volunteers, and Bob was chair and did a lot of work, so it might be something, and you guys, this is just a start, and you can correct it or modify it, but maybe to thank Eric Swan, John Keller, and Connors as volunteers, and other members of the building committee for their diligence or something in finishing the building, or something like that. Because they were the volunteers, they didn't work for the town.
Right. But if there were, everyone's name should be listed. I don't know if, besides those three, there were others, Mr.
There was
Walker?
only a three-member there was only three members of
They-
the non-employees. There were two other town employees that were
The
on
rest
it.
were town.
Three town employees, two or three.
So,
So they're the only three for
volunteers.
that committee, yeah.
Right.
And they put in yeoman's work.
But how about the others who were the town employees? Should their names be listed as well?
I think,
We did it with this, we did it inside when we put the selectmen, the old selectmen up there and the old chief of police, so we've already set precedent, why
Well,
not continue it?
it's kind of, it was, in my mind anyway, where Michael's definitely right, we did it inside. This was just kind of my idea for thanking the volunteers for the extra time they put in for a little plaque on a bench. But if people want to put everyone else's name on that, we can do that too.
I think it would be appropriate to thank the construction committee.
Yeah, and now there's three, Julie was gracious enough to do a little Google search for us, or Amazon.com, and come up with a couple of plaques. I mean, I think it should,
Can I ask what the table is tonight, because I honestly haven't got this far into the, and I apologize. I haven't got this far into it, I'd like to look at it before I made a decision
well,
tonight.
we're just discussing language right now.
We're not voting tonight, though.
I haven't got that far, Mike, okay?
I'm
So,
asking, oh,
so I think one of the things that I had scritch notes, and I apologize, I don't have them with me, but I was thinking on something of the lines of, to thank, the municipal building committee for their
In recognition of the hard work of the municipal.
unwavering dedication and, I'm trying to just think, because, I mean, Eric started this project well before 2012. And he's a saint. And he never left it, and, the committee met weekly for over a year.
How about in recognition of the hard work
And unwavering dedication.
by the committee consisting of, and then list their names?
Yeah. Did you get that, Julie?
In recognition of the hard work of the building committee,
The dedication
what, the dedication?
and hard work.
Recognition, dedication, and hard work?
In recognition of the dedication and hard work of the municipal building committee.
Consisting of, and then
Yes,
list their names.
consisting of, alphabetically, it would be Bob Connors, John Keller, and Eric Spahn. Now, how big would that plaque look, and is it gonna be too big for the bench?
Yeah, that's what you'd have to kind of gauge too, like the size.
It's not gonna be too big.
Yeah, 6.5 by 4.5, I think it'll fit.
Yeah, we can get John to
Inches.
measure the bench slat, that's all we need.
Yeah, so make sure it fits on there.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to read it. So what does it say, Julie?
In recognition of the dedication and hard work of the municipal building committee consisting of Bob Connors, John, I didn't catch their last names, and
Keller.
Eric. John Keller and Eric Spahn.
Spahn, yeah,
But
S-V-A-H-N.
I'm not positive, I think John spells his name with one L, does he?
No, but it's an AR. at the
Is
end.
that what it is?
A-E-L-L-A-R.
Yes, we spell it right this time.
Yeah, I can definitely go back and check all the spellings of everybody's names.
So maybe you could do a little Google search, Julie, and find out if you can give us something at the next meeting. Maybe we can have something to look at
Mm-hmm.
that says that, and then we can tweak
Sure.
the language if we need to.
And just text John and ask him to measure the slat,
Yeah.
the surface.
He left.
So do I need a vote on that? To direct Julie, you think?
No, I'm all set.
Not if we're not, if she's
Yeah, we're not
just,
gonna vote, yeah.
she's gotta do a
Okay.
lockout.
Okay, so next, that was easy. Okay, so now we have correspondence, and I'm just gonna go through this kind of quickly. We've had correspondence from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Mass Division of Marine Fisheries regarding shellfish closures on June 23rd, July 1st, July 4th, and July 16th. We got an email from Carol Rice, Dana Packer, Fred Thurlow, regarding the Council on Aging and Town Hall facilities. Mike Bowling regarding the complex on Morgan Ave. An email from Blair Megan, Jen Porter, Justin Laundrigan, Alina Moritz, and Robert Ross regarding the Larkin Road Bridge. Any meeting updates? Summer's quiet. Hearing none. Review of meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes,
Motion to approve.
April 20th?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
Yes,
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
June 22nd, the draft meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call vote. J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
yes,
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
June 29th, draft meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
yes,
Jerry Heavy?
I believe I missed that meeting, so I'm not gonna vote.
Okay, you abstain. Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. July 6th, draft meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
yes,
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Any warrants?
Yes, there are warrants.
Motion to sign warrants?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. J.R. Colby?
Yes.
Mike Doyle?
yes.
Jerry Heavy?
Yes.
Jeff Walker?
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes.
We're doing meeting updates.
We already did them. Did
Okay,
you
I
have
just
something?
I just get two things real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, on July 7th, we buried one of our EMTs, and I think it would be appropriate before tonight, so we had a moment of silence because he was a Raleigh police officer, a Byfield resident, and an EMT. That's number one. Number two, the Eastern Essex Veterans Board met, and new officers, I am the vice chairman of the board for the upcoming year.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. Can I have a moment of silence, please, for the fallen EMT?
Whose name is?
What's his name, Mike?
His name was Stephen Levesque. He was a Raleigh police officer, he was only 28 years old. And he was an EMT in the town of Newbury. I'm telling you, the funeral I went to was one of the most impressive things I've ever been to.
Okay, well, we're having our moment of silence right now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now we have executive session. So pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to review, discuss, and consider the board's response to the open meeting law complaint against it dated July 12, 2021, filed by Jack Rybicki and on file with the town clerk, whereas discussion of this matter in open session would have a detrimental effect on the board's litigating position, and the chair so declares it, and to reconvene in open session to vote to approve the same.
Apparently, there's still no sound.
There's no sound at all, there hasn't been for.
Yeah, well, we are aware of
I move to
it.
enter executive session.
Yeah. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, roll call vote, J.R. Colby,
Yes.
Mike Doyle,
Yes.
Jerry Heavy,
Yes.
Jeff Walker,
Yes.
Alicia Greco, yes. Okay, so we will be reconvening, so I need to clear the room right now. Thank you, everyone.
Look for the mail, thank you.
Yes, sir.